Okay, I suggest we will start. Welcome everybody. So many people are not here, but we are also on the internet. So the presentation that we are going to present this afternoon will also be you will be able to download them afterwards. My name is Kees Donkers. You are welcome here in the city of Eindhoven in this church. It's a beautiful church. We made for the first time as a sort of an experiment an exposition that's called Brabant Biennale. The idea is to do this every 2 years and to have a celebration year 2018, Brabant Cultural Capital. Today we have a number of speakers, exactly 6. I would like to give you an introduction. It's more than an introduction because I'd like you to tell also about the city and also something more about the collaboration with exactly Russia, because Russia is, let's say, hot at this moment, the last 2 years. I will explain it. Also to our Russian guests that are here, Russian students. Hi, Koi. Marike will be here after my presentation. Marike from Tweejaarlijks. She has been there together with some people in 2011. Then we will have Anna Kodirova. She is preparing her presentation right now. She is from Russia and she's part of the group of students that collaborated with us in 2011 already. Then we have Fiona Jongejan. She is also here from the Eindhoven University to tell about her work. May last year. And then we have Mark Glaudemans, because we don't want to talk only about Eindhoven. Sorry, Mark, but it's called the Brabant Biennale. It's a startup, you know. So we like to work together with the other 4 cities in Brabant. But it has to start here maybe. So maybe the main part is about Eindhoven, but I like you to give you the floor as much as you want to present your ideas and your international collaboration from Tilburg. This table is also the province of Brabant. It was designed for the city hall and I'm very lucky that we could take it here. Well, my introduction is first of all a little bit about the city. It's longer than 10 minutes, but the idea is to tell you more about the city of Eindhoven, also for our Russian guests, how it developed the last 20 years and transformed into, well, a city of design. That's why it's important to talk about the change in the culture of the city as an example for other cities too, and the role of design. The map of Eindhoven, no, the map of Europe from outer space. All the lights are shown where the countries are, but especially the fact that in this part of Europe we spend a lot of lights. It's going into the air, lost, let's say. But it's also a symbol of the energy that is here. You can see it above the word city. You see Holland, Belgium, and a part of Germany. If we zoom in, we see that Eindhoven is in the middle of that spots. We are a light city, but also because we are in between several important regions. Not only the main port, Rotterdam, and Dutch airport, let's say, in Amsterdam, but also the rural area that's close to this region, 1 hour drive, and also Belgium. For Eindhoven, especially 2 years are important. 1920, because we connected 5 villages around the city because of the growing industry of Philips. And 1990, because we lost that industry, more or less, because the making industry went abroad to the lower cost countries, and we only kept the thinking industry, we like to call it. At that time, we also had a lot of empty factories. Philips disappeared, although the manufacturing industry, and number 1 till number 5, alongside the tracks, became empty. And the city was asked to develop ideas for those areas. We started with this building, the White Lady, it was called. It should be demolished in 91, but thanks to something I'd like to explain more in the next half hour, it was developed into a cultural center. And it was a big change in this city. Here you can see the ideas how to redevelop and reuse this empty building, the White Lady, for cultural functions. We also built next to the White Lady I call it red gentlemen, places where people could live next to this cultural function. And we even took the White Lady and put it vertical to have the first 100-meter high building in Eindhoven. It's about this type of architecture. In 1997 we had even a contest for the Philips Tower. The Philips directors, they moved to Amsterdam, and it was empty at the time. And we developed these plans for that area. This is also a beautiful place, not developed yet, but let's say the engine of Philips, we should keep it too and try to reuse it. But we also developed plans for old schools, let's say. The old high school, where I went myself, was developed and reused. The old bakery school also. So we try to combine old architecture with new architecture, as you can see here. Even an old office of city council was redeveloped for housing. As you can see, we gave Eindhoven, let's say, a new face. Not only the light tower by reusing it, but also putting some new elements in front of it. The blob, as you can see here. It's now a new room to visit the city. It's called Usine. With even the most money spent in the toilets, I can tell you that. But it's more about the history and the thinking about Philips. And you can see here the history. Second part is about the culture, because how did it happen the last 20 years? Well, it's a bit personal maybe, but I started to live in this area, the White Village in Eindhoven, in '78. And at that time we started to develop as inhabitants new plans to keep this village alive, to not paint our houses ourselves, so have 20 colors of white, but try to cooperate. Thank you very much. Yeah. So because of that collaboration that started after your own, behind your back door, let's say, we were able to become a real community. That's also, the word community is also our connection to Russia maybe. So we became a national monument in 2000, and we had a party because of that and made this poster. But because of that little history in that little small village with 260 houses, we were able to start up a debate program in a cafe nearby. It was an old pawn cinema reused for theater at that time, Plaza Futura, and we started to discuss not to demolish the White Lady, but to keep it. It was in 1991. And because of the discussion, we also invited young people, even high school people, to make video clips about their city, to get the impressions of their generation, what they thought about the future. It was the first time we talked about high-rise buildings, for instance, and they made beautiful video clips with music that they love at that time, 1991. This is more or less the atmosphere in that theater. It was always full house on Monday night, with also colleagues, architects from our generation to present new ideas. We also started to read and present new books about re-architecture, reuse of old architecture, reuse of old buildings. And we also were invited even to go to Essen, to Germany, at '94, to present what we had already done at that time in Eindhoven. Stories about White Lady and White Village in '94. Now it's the other way around. Essen is the big example in Europe for reuse, I think. You should go there if you haven't been there. Amscher Park, or IBA it was called, now it's Ruhr. Ruhr 2010 was, in 2010 it was the capital of culture in Europe. In 2000 there was an initiative of the mayor of Eindhoven together with the, let's say, the board of the university to collaborate and to start inviting 3 important designers to Eindhoven. Mendini, Branzi, 2 Italian guys, and Peter Eisenman. Peter Eisenman is famous because of the New York 5 and as an architect, but he was asked to come to Eindhoven to present and to give us impulses with his ideas to young students, young designers, promising talents. As you can see, Tom Fransen, Serafine, and Lucien Tengas. He was also a designer, but not only architects, also about poetry and things like that. And we started to think about the tracks. We made a book, the dreamed future with out-of-the-box ideas of that generation, of that talent. Here you can see Peter Eisenman together with Stefano Marzano, director of Philips Design at the time. We were able to come in the closed garden of Philips Design to do this project for 2 days. But because of this, we got an impulse to, and we found out that young designers, young people, could be very important for the city to develop new ideas. So we presented those plans, but for the people that paid that visit, let's say the necktie people in the building industry, they thought it's too much dreams, it's not realistic enough. So we started to work out these plans in models, in wooden models, and Peter Eisenman, he came for free to Eindhoven to present it at the university, as you can see here. This is the model. It's still in the university at the vertical building, the Faculty of Architecture. And that was the first time that students were asked to present their ideas in the City Hall. So we, as a city, found out that it's very interesting to ask students to present their ideas and to influence also the policy in the city. Even to talk about old abandoned areas where old houses are, how to reuse them and not to demolish them. Even churches. We are now in a church that's empty, that's not in use anymore, it's bought by the city. But we found out it's very important to think about that issue too. Here you can see some ideas of Tara architects. We call it modern monuments. We have monuments, tile, but we thought about making modern monuments. And we wrote a book about it, City as a Laboratory, for the first time in 2005. And we presented it in an empty law house close to the City Hall. Later on it was developed as a design house, but at that time there were students living there. There's a leftover building next to the City Hall. And it was full house the first time. 300 people inside that building, and we found out it's an amazing, beautiful building to do this kind of events. And that's why 3 years later it was developed and reused. We also wrote a book about it and presented our new ideas, and also in this church. So this church was the place where, at that time, it was 2007, we spread this news, let's say, and Lady Ida came as a DJ to connect old music, church bells from the top of the church with the organ was brought outside, and to combine it with music of Kraftwerk as a DJ. It was amazing, I think. And you see a lot of people came there to listen to that reuse of music. And we wrote a book about it too, of course, 3 books. 2 books about architecture and urban development, and another book about how people look at it, so with a lot of pictures. That was a time when the city stopped with the program. It was called E+. There was some money used for it from the city council to develop the collaboration between the city and the university, but it stopped in 2009. That was a pity, we thought, so we started to continue, but without money. And that was amazing to do this. And we started up the Brabant Academy. We named it this way because E+ Academy, as it was named before, nobody knows what E+ is, and everybody knows what Brabant is. And we also want to combine the collaboration between cities in Brabant, our province. So in 2009, January, we started with the new foundation, Brabant Academy. As you can see, not only with knowledge institutes and the city, but also with companies to collaborate together and to develop ideas. You can see the Evoluon is a new shelf to show our brains, let's say. So the Brabant Academy was grounded at that 2009. You can see here the first presentation, 4th of June. And that was about the developing of the culture of debate in the city the last 20 years. The role of design is also very important, because we found out that young designers, they went away after their studies to cities like Amsterdam or Rotterdam. They thought Amsterdam is sexy to go, and you should leave Eindhoven because Eindhoven is a dull city. But at the time we found out that if we are able to find some services for those young students, to offer them, for instance, a little church in one of the old villages, as we did, we were able to have a home for 4 talented designers. Emily Hermans, she's in fashion, but also Mark Vrolings, he's a musician, and Lonnie Nadine, Atelier NL. And they started, the first thing they did in that church was, the little church was to organize a Last Supper. The idea was amazing, and what they did was even more amazing. As you can see here, not only 4 apostles, but it were 12 apostles. And all with their own skills. They brought together several talents as also a collaboration with young people. Each has their own talent. And as you can see here, everything, the furniture was from Kostas, and Kostas is also here. He made this exposition. The wood you can see here is from Kostas also, the design. So I think this is the best presentation of Eindhoven, to show in a small scale what the talents are. And they presented it themselves, as you can see here. So a lot of young people presenting their own skills in a small old church, reused, not demolished, reused as a center of new ideas, a center of innovation. So we found out that we had those talents in this city. So Eindhoven became aware of this identity. Okay, I thought we're going to have some music, but that's okay. Well, you can see here how Liedewij Edelkoort, the director of the Design Academy, she found out that empty law house was a beautiful place to show the talents of the city, especially of the Design Academy. And you can see here the opening in 2007 of the design house. So 2 years later, it was reused, it was redeveloped, there was spent an amount of, I thought, €300,000 to reuse this empty law house. And even the city council came there to discuss about the future and a new policy. And the new designers, they came there too, to discuss it with the city council. At that time, the Design Week became also a very famous moment in the year. But what we thought is more famous is the place where it starts. People graduating from their studies, starting their own breeding places in several parts of the city. As you can see here, even an old Lidl, a shop, was transformed into a Lidl Y. A place where young talents start to do their thing. And Little Mountain, it was a shop or a small industry in the street, was called Little Mountain, moved to the Stripe S complex to offer small places for people to start up their own company. But even empty factories were reused, as you can see here. And this was the empty place where we had the new meeting place, Smallehaven. It's now famous this year, a place to go. So that's why we decided that we should explore this talent of Eindhoven also in an international way. The idea was to go to Milan. We also did it the Design Academy did it already for a long time, and also the design faculty in the Technical University, but we decided to do it more, let's say, guerrilla-wise. So to go with the caravans, 10 caravans to Milano, bought for €500, reused as a presentation room to use the empty parking lots in, let's say, the main street of Milano for presentation of our qualities of Dutch design. You can see here how the 4 apostles made their own caravan. And the final party there was all about Eindhoven, as you can see here, an empty pool with DJs from Eindhoven Laboureur. They made a great party there as a symbol of Eindhoven identity international, in an international way. We were invited to go to the Design Act in Moscow, 2010. I was there, but there were also a few young designers, but we were asked, and Marieke is also here. Yes. Yeah, that's Marieke. She was one of the designers, and we were asked to present ourselves. And the amazing thing was that not only because of Marieke, but because of the young designers, we were in the national news that day. And with this kind of presentation, a small presentation of Dutch design, but in Moscow. And that was, let's say, a sparkle to develop a more intense relationship between Russia and Holland, I think. Here you can see, maybe she can tell it herself later on, because, no? Okay. I think this is amazing. You can see small fishing articles to reuse into a lamp. And we were invited by the Dutch consul, let's say, or cultural attaché at his house to have dinner. And we thought, well, that's amazing to go to Russia and in Moscow to go to this art. But the other thing is we went out late at night and we found out that there's also reuse of music in Moscow. This girl started to turn discs from 1960, 1970 and mix it with music from nowadays. So I thought, I tell you nothing about it. Because of that, 2 weeks later, we were invited to go to Yekaterinburg. And that's an important city because it's much alike Eindhoven, but 10 times bigger. It's also, they held the first Ural Biennial, like we do now the first Brabant Biennale. And they did it 2 years ago, and it was amazing what they did. Because they also tried to reuse empty sites of factories. And they also start with this painting of their own culture in an old steel factory that was empty. But what the main thing was, we found out that this is maybe the White Lady or the White Pearl of Yekaterinburg. A beautiful water tower, not in use for 50 years, but also a symbol of reuse maybe, like the White Lady is in Eindhoven. So we started to develop ideas for those empty factories, those beautiful empty factories with that new architecture. So we started to develop a lot of ideas, as you can see here, but I don't want to talk a lot about these ideas because the next presentations will be about these ideas and the development of these ideas. So I would like to stop with this for this moment. I gave you a lot of information maybe, a lot of slides, but the idea was to have an introduction in Eindhoven to see how this city redeveloped the last 100 years from an industrial city to, let's say, a post-industrial city with a new identity. And I think especially what we found out in Russia, we have several cities like Yekaterinburg, but also Novosibirsk, where we went, Perm, Chelyabinsk, where you are from. There also are cities that are far more bigger than Eindhoven, about 1.5 million people, but also with this kind of architecture. And John Kermeling, we asked him to go to the second Ural Biennale 1 month ago. He was there, and he was amazed. He was fascinated by this kind of type of architecture. That's called modernism. We have our White Lady here, but in Yekaterinburg there are 100 White Ladies. John would like to tell about his experiences at this moment, but he was kept in Belgium, where he is now, and he would like to apologize for that, but he likes to invite especially Russian students here to come to his atelier at, he has a veranda, he said, well, I have a lot of beer, he said, next week to invite you all, the Russian guests especially, to come there. So you will go and meet John for sure, but he cannot share his fascination for this kind of architecture right now, so I would like to thank you for this moment and give the floor to Marieke, who is also here. I told you about Marieke from Tweelink. Yes. And maybe I can introduce her because I told you about 2 years ago. Do we have your presentation already given to him? Yeah. They were young designers not from Eindhoven, but from Den Bosch. So she represents Den Bosch, let's say, in the Brabant 5. For this moment, and she and a twin sister presented their ideas in Moscow, and they were amazed. The Russian people were amazed. Also the Russian people that were presenting their ideas. So they were in the national news that day. It's called Tweeling because they also graduated here from the Design Academy about 6 years ago, I think. And here you can see they are twins, but they don't look the same.
It's better if you do the talking.
Yeah? Oh, no. You can use a mic if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
speciaal.
Ik hou vast even vast.
Hello. Okay, finally I can say something and everybody can hear me. Kees is actually much better to introduce than I can do it myself, but I promised Kees to do it, so this is a special gift for Kees. I have a little presentation about Tweelink. That's my design studio, that I have together with my twin sister. And we do a lot of work for companies, and we also make our own designs. And we try to sell them for other labels, and sometimes we do it all by ourselves. So it's very nice that we make a combination to work for big companies and do also small things. And we make a big crossover, but it's always about the identity of something. So it's really about little details together make a big story. And this is 2 projects we do. We work for, it's a company from Denmark. They sell beds for children beds, and it's very important that they always have a new story. So we actually make small stories for them in pictures, and then they have a new starting point to design a bed. So we don't design the bed, but we make the story for them. And we do that also for Studio Commandeur. It's really about new trends. And HEMA, it's a very nice company. It's a store in Holland. It's a very good store. It wins a lot of prizes every year. And we had make a little book for them. It's for Mother's Day. It's like when you go with your daddy to the HEMA and you can buy a lot of small things, and we can explain you to make a little present for your mother. So that was a very nice thing to do, because it's very simple thing, and children like to do it. So that was really something what's very good for Tweelink and the HEMA. And Simstar, it's also a company where we work for. We designed the brand, like you see the eye, it's also a jewel. But if you see the first second, you don't see that it's a jewel inside her eye. And we do also things, interior design. Like on the left side, you see a design for a cafe. And it's very nice that we make big crossovers. So when you see something like the cafe and the things we do for the Jumbo, it's a big contrast. So everything we make is like a new start of a story. It's not like, oh, you can see it's really Tweelink. No, it's more like if we do things for Jumbo, it's really Jumbo. And another 2 things we did, but maybe it's easier if I show you some work, our own products. It's nicer. Oh yeah, this is also a nice product. It's from Sita. It's a big company, and yeah, it's about recycling. And they asked us to make a big lamp, and we had to do something with the material. So we made a big lamp. You see on the right, and it's like I don't know exactly the size anymore, but it's like really big one. But if you see it from a few meters, then it's like a normal chandelier. But if you come closer, it's made of the bottoms of a Coca-Cola bottle, a plastic one. And they asked us to design the lamp, and it was because they know this lamp. Kees already told something about the lamp. It's like a classic chandelier, but then with floats. And we this year it was hanging perfectly on the design fair in Milan by Polyform. It's a huge company in Italy, and it's this selling with the floats are very high now. we have a lot of others around the world because it was hanging there so perfectly. And the books is something very tweeling, because it's like we like to design something with a little kind of humor, like life is fun and it should be easygoing, not like very, if you have to think too much about it, it's not very tweeling. It should be nice and fun and also nice to use. So this is actually a little poof, and it's a little plant, and if you need a sitting object, then it's a poof. And if it's empty in your room, it's not like if you have a lot of empty chairs, it doesn't look very nice. But if you have the poof and it's a plant when there's nobody on, it's nicer. Another sitting object, the pompoof, and that's also very tweeling, because we started with the pompons and we made them in kindergarten, the small ones, and we tried to make them bigger and bigger. And the biggest one is the pompoof. It is so large, but it's exactly the same technique. So a lot of people recognize, like, whoa, I did it in kindergarten. So it's... And the woodies, they are my little friends. And we made them, we started a few years ago with making the little objects. And now, I don't know what's happening, but now last 4 months, it's like, too much work I have to do. I'm working 4 months only making woodies nowadays. It's like everybody wants to have woodies, and now we make for art fair. We make big ones with very old wood. It's very nice. It's like really in a lot of galleries. They want to have it all around the world. So this is my new work, only making woodies. And this is the drawing table. It's a small table, and it's made of thousands of pencils. And of course, the name of the table, drawing table, is like more for fun. Some people ask, "It's not a drawing table." I say no, but then when I explain, they understand. And the box seat, it's een sofa, and it's gaascontainer. A wire container. It's used for heavy material in the fabrics, and we just made a few changes. We leave the I don't know, klepje, knopje. It's Russisch. We leave the door and put some cushions inside, and it's just like it stays where it comes from. So it's like, it's a sofa and a container in one. This is a new object we designed for Nieuw Duivendrecht, and it's like a chandelier and a ball in one. So we just make the chandelier a little bit bigger, so you can put some fruit inside or tasty things, and then you have also the light for the romantic part. Little things that are already, a lot of things I already show you. We have also Madame Eiffel. It's a Paris sister of the float, and the jet set. It's for using your iPhone or music, but it's also a jewel. Yay! Then we went to Moscow. It was very nice because it's a big contrast in Moscow and Dutch design. But in the end it was also very easy because people have to laugh about the same things and react on the same things about bright colors or things. So actually it was very easy to show our products because our things are easy to understand. And after that I was introduced, they asked me together with Kees to come to Yekaterinburg. That was just perfect. I see already some recognized faces. It was a very strange and hard-working week, a few days, but it was like I was very happy how people react on me, and they were happy how I reacted on them. It was like perfect, strange story. It was What?
Love at first sight. You became in love with Russia there.
Yeah. And vodka.
Yeah.
The people who worked together in Yekaterinburg, I didn't have all the names yet, so I was a little pissed about that. But maybe after today we can fill the last few open spaces. And this is how I want to end, because in the middle is a woody, it's a fresh one, it's a new one. I made especially for today a Russian one. And he's gonna go to the fair, art fair next, end of October.
Okay.
So I really want to show you, because I like that it's a really Dutchy doll in a Russian style. So that was my strange presentation in a strange location. And I hope you have a nice day today. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well, we have a lot of Russian guests, and Anna Kodirova, she did a lot of work here. She was interner for the last 2 months here in the city, and she did a lot of work, more than I expected. So,
hello.
Can you use this, or should I give you the mic, another mic? Maybe that's.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so can I have this? Yeah. Thank you very much. Maurits presentation folder, folder presentations, up, please. Plus presentations, put up. I'm sorry. So, hello, my name is Anna, and I'd like to tell some words about the part of big NAAR City Lab project that was held in September. So what is NAAR? NAAR, it's about Netherlands and Russia relationships. It's...
Closer to the mic, closer.
Okay. And this project started when we got acquainted to Kees Dunkers in September 2011 when he came to Yekaterinburg with his project City as a Laboratory. So, I'd like to tell some words about Yekaterinburg. Yekaterinburg is the third biggest city in Russia after Moscow and St. Petersburg, and 1.5 million ambitious and energetic people live there, and we have a lot of industrial heritage. And that is why we can call Yekaterinburg industrial heart of Russia. Nowadays, Yekaterinburg is developing very quickly and very rapidly, and a lot of new trends are revealed in its architecture. And we have quite a lot of interesting and modern buildings. And the city is really very big. But on the other hand, in Yekaterinburg we have quite a lot of industrial areas and objects that occupies at about 30% of the whole area of the city. This is the example of new architecture. This is dwelling houses. Also in Yekaterinburg there are a lot of monuments of constructivism, and we are very proud of it. And also quite a lot of industrial sites. Yeah, some of them are very huge, and others are quite small, and they're situated in the center of the city. And all these things, they mean that we have much in common. I mean, Yekaterinburg and Eindhoven, because it is also about the industrial heritage and industrial objects, and we interact with them, and they are part of the city, and they are very important for citizens of Yekaterinburg. And it happened during the Second World War, a lot of plants and factories, they were moved to Yekaterinburg to save the productional processes. And after the Second World War, these plants continued developing on their own way. And nowadays, they played quite an important role in the life of the city. And of course, some of them are abandoned, some of them are reduced, but still they are in the fabric of the city. And new generation, young generation, they started to think, what can we do to include these industrial objects, how to make them more friendly to the citizens, what can we do with them? And as a response to this question, Kees Donkers, with the project YEK 2.0, came in September to Yekaterinburg. A lot of people were interested in it, and there were quite a lot of people to present, to be at his first presentation. But I should mention that first they were sitting with very serious faces, and once there was a moment when something changed. We were laughing, and we felt that we can do something, and we should do something to change the situation. And if we start doing it today, tomorrow, big changes come. So during this 3 days workshop, we had a real injection of new ideas. We had an opportunity to look anew at what we have, according to 3 directions. So during this workshop, we worked in 3 directions, like the Pearl. It's about the reuse of old water tower. It is industrial object in industrial area, one of the biggest industrial areas in Yekaterinburg. And we had an opportunity to think how we can make it a symbol of Yekaterinburg, like a white lady in Eindhoven became the symbol for the city. The second direction was History is Sexy, and it was about the reuse of industrial sites and bringing a new breath to these areas. And the third direction was Dream, Dare, Do. It's about the looking for new purposes for abandoned and old buildings, and also about the fact that if we do nothing today, nothing is changed tomorrow. Here is the list of the participants, and this is a beautiful picture made by Tweeling. I should mention that the way the workshop was held on was quite different and was quite interesting, new and amazing for us, because we were divided in several groups and we had to work over ideas. And as a result, everyone presented a kind of a proposal in frames of one direction that they chosen. All these proposals are presented in the. As a result of this project, we made this Nurse Lab magazine. And this magazine is first about the connections between Yekaterinburg and Eindhoven, between Netherlands and Russia, about constructivism and about the monuments, and also about what we have done. And in this magazine, all the projects are presented. We also have the light version. It's more about pictures, and it's more about about the visual part, how we spent this time and how much fun we had. So for sure, after hard work, everyone needs some rest, and we had quite nice after parties in the bar together with Kees Donkers, Marike, and Misak. It was very great because when we communicated during the workshops, it was more formal, and it was more about they were tutors and we were students, and during these after parties we had quite nice opportunities to interact and to speak about the themes we are interested in, and we have found much in common. And now we are here to continue this project and to present the results of it. That is. Thank you.
Okay, well, this was the Russian part, let's say, from the student side. We also have a Dutch part. Fiona is here. We went in May again to Yekaterinburg, and there was a few students from Eindhoven, and Fiona was one of them. Yeah. To you the floor.
Thank you, Kees. Let me just wait until my presentation starts. Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Welcome. My name is Fiona Jongejans, and I've been visiting Yekaterinburg in May this year. So I will present to you the third phase of the project, YEK 2.0. I didn't really know if the previous presenters would tell you a little bit about the city, so I'll just give you a very short perspective from my view. It is a city which is more than 4,000 kilometers to the east of Eindhoven. Well, this picture shows, I guess it's the best visualization of my first impression. It's really big, and we're not really used to this. So we visited Yekaterinburg with a goal, of course, because we stayed there for like 5-6 days, and we had a very concrete goal to do there. And this was to create a design proposal to communicate the possible value of the cultural heritage, and then specifically the White Tower. This is our target location for this week, but I'll come back to that later. So let me really quickly recap the ingredients of this week, because that gives you the framework in which we've been working. We've stayed in Yekaterinburg for 1 week. In total, we had 15 hours to work on the research and on the design proposal. In these 15 hours, there were 4 presentations with feedback from Russian students, Russian professors, to share our visions and the differences in visions. And we had 1 target location, the White Tower. We visited Yekaterinburg with 8 industrial design students from the Technical University here in Eindhoven. And there were 15 architectural students from Russia who provided us with feedback, well, 4 times during this week. Well, we started our project in Uzine, which you just saw in the presentation of Kees, and actually it was quite funny because this was where we made our first mistake already. You tend to think as designer you can just start designing for whatever location you're talking about. But of course we were thinking from our Dutch perspective, and we were designing for a building in a Russian city we had never visited, and the entire city is structured by the Russian culture, so what were we thinking? But actually it was quite good because it got the discussion started on reusing cultural heritage, so it was a start. When we visited Yekaterinburg, we arrived somewhere in the afternoon, and in the evening we immediately met with all the Russian students to present our ideas and to get the flow of creativity going, which was also really nice because there was this huge difference between the visions that were presented, so we had enough to talk about. Well, the day after, of course, we visited the location, and this is the White Tower. You already saw it in the presentations before. And what we did is we started doing research in the neighborhood. So we literally divided the neighborhood in 4 areas, in 4 groups, and we started walking around. We started interviewing some inhabitants of the environment. What's going on here? What's life like around this tower? And what's the image people have about the White Tower? So our main conclusion is that the White Tower is just a passing point. The interaction with the tower is nothing more than only passing it with your car. The image that most people had was really negative. There's a lot of gravity on the tower. People get drunk, they use drugs. It's a dangerous place. You wouldn't want your kids to play there. So there were all these negative associations, and the only interaction that was there was passing the tower by car. So we presented our findings in the first presentation with a lot of Russian students there. And then it was really nice what happened, because after the presentations, we were just swarmed by people who wanted to share their vision and their opinion on the use of this white tower, which was really nice. And to my opinion, it was really learnful to see the difference in approach, because we really started looking at the people in the neighborhood and the current reality, while the Russian students who gave us feedback were really capable of drawing it to a more abstract level. So what's the connection between the tower and the entire architecture of the city? What's the location like? What's the history of the tower? So these combinations of really concrete and abstract thinking and research was really powerful. Well, because they told us, we were there as industrial designers, we knew nothing about constructivism. And of course they told us that the white tower is a symbol of this style, so we started doing research on constructivism as well, of course. And then we went back to the drawing table and started looking for ideas with which we could change this negative association of the white tower. Because you could think of all kinds of practical functionalities for the tower, like a restaurant or a car wash or a cinema, but people would never use it in this way if there would still be this negative association. So we decided to create a design proposal to change this negative association and make it more positive. So we presented our ideas, and they were involving the car passing the tower, and we presented these ideas, and then the feedback was really, afterwards I was thinking by myself, why didn't I think of it myself? Because they told us, where's the connection with the original functionality? There's nothing left from the fact that it was a water tower. It was filled with water in the past, so where's that in your proposals? So we went back designing and talking about it and discussing our ideas. And then here's our final proposal we presented during the last presentation. I will try to explain it to you. It works on two levels, both individual and collaborative. On the individual level, it makes the experience of passing the white tower more positive. When you pass the tower, a drop of light, like a liquid drop of light, will follow you and your car. It will travel up the tower and then be released in the water basin of the tower. So actually, the water tower is not filled with water again, but it's filled with light. It's filled with life, actually, because every car passing it will add a drop of life to it. On a more collaborative level, it will make the white tower a collaborative art piece, which is in the center of this neighborhood. So people who pass the tower every day, they will start to feel as an owner. A shared ownership will be created by making this an art piece, which is created by every car passing the tower. This is a picture of during the final presentation, and there we kind of made a big mistake again. Because we started presenting our work, but then we presented it to a room full of architecture students who knew nothing about our approach, about how we are educated in the University of Technology here. So after a couple of slides, we thought, okay, we better stop this presentation, and we first present our education, something about our approach to design. So that, but it's, again, it was really valuable, this exchange. And then I want to end with this picture, because this is the entire group that visited Yekaterinburg this May. And of course I can only speak for myself, but I believe it was a really valuable exchange of visions on how you can change society and how you can change your city by using these old buildings.
Thank you very much. Well, as I told you, this is a story about what happened in Eindhoven, but there are also a lot of international connections in Tilburg, and the one who is the best to present that is maybe the initiator of that relationship, and that's Mark Glaudemans. He's a director. Maybe you should introduce yourself, because I'm sure I don't use the right words for that. But we collaborated a long time ago in 2003 when we started up the collaboration with the university here. You worked for the university. And I found out you did the same in Tilburg, and maybe even better. So, to you.
Thank you. Can I actually use this one? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay. I'm shaking a little bit because of the Russian temperatures in this church, and also because I only last night returned from a two-week trip to Asia, and it was much warmer there. But also because of it's very exciting to be here with all these students, participants from Russia. I'm not going to talk about Russia, but I'm going to talk about the potential of collaboration amongst designers. And indeed, in Tilburg, the School of Architecture also initiated an international program for collaboration between cities and between designers. And also I'm glad that there are some students from our school also in this audience. So they actually know about this experience, and they could talk about it after when we are drinking vodka, I guess, after the lectures. Actually, the name of our international initiative is called STAD, and it's actually exactly the name, the city as a laboratory, but then in a sort of international hybrid. STAD is city and the lab is international. This is a picture from last week when we did a 10-day masterclass program in Japan. Actually, the same kind of format as the Yekaterinburg. We spent a long week in a city. We work with an international team, mostly professionals, young professionals, on a topic that is local. So we have some local designers and we have an international team. Today I would like to talk a little bit about this organization, this organization of design labs, a little bit about what is going on in the world in terms of how cities transform, and then I would like to show quickly 2 examples of design labs. Yeah, I have more than 10 minutes, so don't blame me if I go on for like 15 or 20 minutes. This is the academy, or well, actually used to be the academy in Tilburg. We moved to the new part of the building, but this is the setting of our school. We are actually part of a faculty of arts, and that is quite different from being part of a faculty of University of Technology. And we are part of a University of Applied Sciences. So it has a different kind of approach, slightly less scientific and more practice-related. And that actually fits very well with the concept of the design labs, because it's hands-on. It has to do with real issues that are playing in these cities. School is very small, about 85 students, only master students in architecture and urbanism. And next to these 85, we have about 50 students or professionals in postgraduate programs. I have some samples of work done by students from the academy. Of course, some work that has already been executed. But also some proposals by students on all different kind of scales. So from infrastructure to architecture and everything in between. I'm going to talk about this design laboratory initiative called STADslab. And we started in 2006, very modest, with a collaboration with our twin city in Poland, Lublin. And then actually we started to do 1 or 2 projects every year, mostly in Central and Eastern Europe. And 2 years ago, we jumped all the way to Japan for a 3-year program. And actually, now we are considering a program in China for next year, but also in Russia, because we are starting to have some discussions with Moscow. And actually, from what I saw, Yekaterinburg might be an excellent example as well. So I hope that we can actually expand our network Yekaterinburg is still in the European part of Russia? It is, yeah. So it fits also in the definition. But actually you see that our network is expanding. These are some examples of posters that we made to announce the programs, because these programs are free for designers to apply. And that's also why we don't work with a fixed group of students, but actually it's open to the global community of professionals. And that's why every year we have different teams. Normally the people don't know each other. They come from different countries and they bring their own life stories and experiences. And in the end, our mission is to offer design expertise to the cities. We tend to work with the smaller cities, not to the capitals, because the smaller cities are actually more in need of have some international design experience to help them with their day-to-day challenges. And of course, the mission is to create better cities, better environments for the citizens and for the authorities. We do this in the form of masterclasses, design labs. We work on a case that is brought on by the city, and always it's a mix of local professionals and international professionals. And of course, we actually bring some expertise to the masterclass as well. That's very important. And then in the masterclass, there will be lectures, there will be seminars, there will be lots of discussion. We will visit projects in the city, but we will also visit reference projects, and a large amount of time will be spent in the studio to actually produce the proposals. The results are not ready-made solutions. We are not like a consultancy or an architecture firm, so it's actually a conceptual framework to start a discussion and to head towards a new direction. But still, the results, since they are made by professionals, they do have a certain level of pragmatism, applicability. So actually, usually they are pretty close to what the city actually needs. This is a list of the projects we did, and you can see that the topics can vary. So it can be on social themes, like we did in Hungary, on segregation of Roma communities. It can be very large. We did a waterfront project, was actually the whole coast of Georgia, the Black Sea coast. So actually the topic itself is not, it can be very flexible, because then we just ask other experts, but the format is usually similar. And this is another list of projects we did. And this is actually what we hope to do in 2013. So we will be in Japan again, but also we are looking for new partners. And actually last week we were invited by Alexandria, an independent city, part of Washington, D.C., also to consider. So actually maybe the US will be on the map as well. So actually it's going to be more global. But Russia definitely seems very exciting for us. Maybe I spend some minutes about the themes that we see in the world. Actually, there are three big themes, I think, that we can define. Urbanization, urban transformation, and the smart cities. And I will talk a little bit about all of these three themes. Urbanization is actually the fact that we still witness a huge growth of the urban population. In fact, the addition to the urban population in the next 5 decades is larger than the whole urban population of the world today. So although that growth might not happen here, and also is not happening in Russia, it is happening, and it's for our discipline, it's one of the big challenges of this century, because we don't know how to create cities for 2 or 3 billion new city dwellers in that short amount of time. And so it poses not only the planners, but actually everybody to huge challenges. There are no models. So it's very exciting. And the growth, as I said, you can see it in the graph over there, is not happening in our part of the world. It's mostly happening in Africa, in South America, and in Asia. And you can see it also in this graph, that actually the urban population in the developed world is more or less stable, but the urban population in the low and middle income countries is exploding. I was in China last week, and yeah, China is one of the, at this stage, one of the fastest growing countries. And yeah, it's actually staggering what you see and how they have to cope with, for instance, I went to the city of Chengdu in western China, and they are now planning an addition to the city of 1,500 square kilometers. And there will be 7 million extra people in the next 15 years. So it's really amazing. Very exciting. So actually here you can still see a mix of the old fabric and the modern additions, but in the end it will all be new. So it's going to be, at this moment it's going to be like this, but we don't know how sustainable this kind of skyscraper cities are. Not to mention the fact that actually they pose a huge threat to the environment. Second theme, smart cities. Might seem a very technology-oriented topic, where actually companies like IBM and Philips and Siemens are taking part of the debate. But it's not only that, it's not only about our buildings, it's also about government and governance. It's also about transportation and utilities. But we will have to make our cities smarter, meaning that they have to perform better. Cities create a huge amount of waste. They use a huge amount of energy. And actually we have to think about creating better performing cities. And again, could lead to this kind of utopian, maybe, projects, very holistic, where everything is integrated. But in the end, it's like a real estate dream. And, well, this might seem beautiful, but is it really a city? It's middle class, upper class. There's no pollution here. But this is not really a feasible model for large parts of the world. So we have to think about making the existing cities smarter. And there are some really good examples about, for instance, in Amsterdam, where Smart Amsterdam, actually, if you increase the insulation of houses, if you decrease the size of, for instance, the cars that get garbage out of the city, if you have smart energy meters, the results are already remarkable. So this smart cities theme is a second topic that I think is going to be very important for us. And last year, some students of the Academy, actually they won a prize in an international smart cities contest for architecture schools around the world. And then a last theme, urban transformation, is our existing cities, how we are going to deal with the existing urban fabric. And that is going to be probably for us the main topic in our daily environments, because most of the buildings that we need are already there, so we just have to transform them. And it's not only buildings, it's also areas, part of the city. This picture is actually also students of the Academy have been involved with this. It's the railway area of Tilburg, like in Eindhoven and like in Den Bosch and like in Breda. All these railway areas will be transformed because they had a lot of industrial use, which is not used today anymore. And in Tilburg, we made a proposal to make an open city campus where the university will be, but it will not be a campus in the sense that it's closed, only for students and professors. It will be part of the city. So there will be all kinds of public space. There will be shops, there will be theaters, there will be residential program. And so this is the area with beautiful industrial heritage, but also quite a lot of new program. and actually mixing the program of the university with a city program in order to create a vibrant and lively environment. Adding a part of the city center. Okay, and then I would like to briefly go through 2 examples. Actually, I decided not to do the Japan case, but to talk about Belgrade and talk about Melitopol in Ukraine. And then I need to have my second presentation. Can you do first Belgrade? So this is an example of how a design lab, a STADslab masterclass works. Actually, one of the participants of this masterclass is in the audience, so he knows everything about it. And I think he got quite inspired by working on this project. Let me see, can I already? Yeah. So it was a team with, let me count, 12, 14, about 12 participants from many different countries and backgrounds, working under the supervision of 2 experts, one from the UK and one from Serbia, and it was organized by STADslab. The topic was to think about a central area of Belgrade along the Sava River, between the bridges. Do we have a pointer? No, does it? Should work?
Yeah.
It
should work.
It's not strong enough. No.
Okay.
Actually, we were asked firstly to think about this area where the central station is, but then we decided that is not the best way of talking about it, because there were plans for that area already for 40 years. Big master plans, blueprint planning, like Singapore, very utopian, but also very useless. And we actually don't expect that this area will be improved in the near future. So we decided to think about the area which is actually more part of the city. The people are there, and actually if you work there first, then maybe in the long run, it can improve the quality of the city center and maybe create conditions for the central station area to be transformed. Belgrade has at this position a difficult relation to the river. It's hard to get there, it's very low quality, but it has a lot of potential. Like here, where actually a part of the riverfront has been transformed into a very successful nightlife area. I'm sure you know this place. Yeah, and so it has been done, private initiative, but how to add on this development and how to create a better connection to the Sava River. Same actually as in the workshop is this small team. Most people didn't know the city before, so we all had to discover the context, talking with people, going there, doing interviews, taking pictures, lots of discussion and presenting to each other what to do. And also, it was really about the planning culture, where actually there is this, of course, from socialist times, top-down planning, but nowadays there's also bottom-up initiative. Citizens want to be part of the story. Citizens want to be a part of their city and want to have an impact. So another aim of the master was actually to bring these two together, and actually to bring the planning department in contact with also some bottom-up initiatives. And we devised a strategy, an approach, and the approach is probably even more important than the proposals. So the approach was first to identify spots in the city that have potential and actually need very little in terms of planning and design in order to get things going. Second step would be, on those spots, to create some resonance, to have some activity, to have some interventions in order to improve the quality of the space or enhance the level of activity. A third part of the approach was to reconnect the area to the city. That's a sort of a technical thing, so make sure that people can actually get there. And then to transform, which is actually more or less a result of the first 3 steps. And then ideally, if you transform that part, it will start to resonate again to other parts of the city. So it could become a part of a larger transformation strategy for the whole city. Of course, it included a lot of working to get these ideas from, let's say, a concept to a design. And also, we needed some kind of tool, a branding tool. It's not only about design, it's also about storytelling. And so some part of the time was actually spent to think about how to get the image of the city and the image of that part of the city to improve that. So there's sort of a branding strategy where you actually work on the qualities of the site, the qualities of the city, and try to implement that on the site by getting some activities in that area. This is a very conceptual one, but also very nice. So actually this heart shape of the city is projected on a number of derelict buildings. But of course, from the opposite side of the river, you could have this view. Or this one, sort of an iconic building in the area, which is already used for some billboards. But actually see how you could transform that building and the impact that that building could have on its surroundings through a number of strategies. Where actually that building might become part of a new image of the district. Or this sort of reflecting on the skyline of the other side of the city where the new Belgrade is. And this is a map of all the interventions that we proposed. Small interventions, large interventions, but mostly small. And then what we hoped that would happen, that actually these interventions would create a resonance and bring activity to the area. Well, of course, in the end, we would like to transform the whole riverfront feel. Started with thinking about the zone where actually the river and the city are connected and to improve that area. For instance, by bringing the water on the land and bringing the gardens on the boats, to creating this kind of floating gardens and swimming pools, improving the quay, the accessibility of the quay by making it a public space. Also redesigning, making the riverfront more accessible, using the railway relics, the wagons that are there, maybe for a new program. Could be all kinds of things. This where we found a lot of places like this, where actually there's no accessibility. So how can you, as a designer, think about these kind of places and make them more accessible, create better public spaces, make sure that as a pedestrian you don't have to cross this place, but you create a easy crossover. And then, of course, these buildings are actually just waiting to be transformed. And could be a pool, but could also be a club, could be a school, could be anything. It's actually just waiting to be kissed alive. Same for this one. It's a very dark building. And then we heard from the mayor of Belgrade that he was complaining because there were no tourists and we didn't have enough hotels for conferences. He said, yeah, but you have a hotel. It's just over there. You just have to see it. This is a hotel or a hospital, but it has a lot of potential. And then by adding some quality to the streets, it could also have a big impact on the environment. And then also this, getting the city connected to the river by very small interventions. sometimes you only have to remove some small things to create a connection. Here, for instance, the river is behind the wall. Behind the wall is a field where all the buses are. But actually, it could be an event space for large-scale events and concerts on the river. Also here, it's sort of a car wash, but it's very low quality. If you break that away, you immediately have the connection to the river that you would like. And this is more or less a joke. You have all these buses here, and it could be like a bus park, could be like an event space again. And so in the end, this is the starting point, and with actually very little money, very little investment, you could create a lot of activity in this space. And then, well, this actually Marnix's project that, of course, we were asked to think about the central station area and to bring that part of the city to the river. And then we said, well, maybe you should just forget about it and bring the river to the city. Not maybe to make this kind of Copacabana beach, but actually they have a big problem because of flooding. And we could use maybe this space to give some space to the river and make a new kind of environment for Belgrade. Okay, so this was a 10-day masterclass last year in Belgrade, and I would like to give you another example.
Yeah. We made an appointment to the last part for this event. That is a fashion show.
Okay.
So maybe it's good to ask the people that presented to come to the front and to have maybe a little bit of discussion, if you want to. But also I like to ask two people that are here too. Mr. Ferodin, you are here, Fedor Voronin. Would like to introduce you, and maybe Henny Kuiken too, if he wants to come. Because you are people that are from Russia, of course. Well, nice to meet you, here in Eindhoven. And Henny, he's an old friend of mine, a long time. Yeah. And Henny is also consul for White Russia, but I think it's nice to have people like you to react on this kind of event, because next year we have the celebration year of our collaboration between two cultures, let's say. And I think it's nice to have a first reaction from you. I'm very happy that you are here. You are very new, I understand, in Holland, but maybe you have a first reaction.
Thank you, Kees. Thanks for the kind invitation. Very happy to be here. It's a little bit cold, but still very interesting projects, very interesting ideas about traveling to the east of Russia. As for me, I've never been in Yekaterinburg and would like to, and a little bit envy to you, because you've been there and I'm not. I think that such a kind of event, Dutch Design Week and fashion, design, architecture, it's very good thing for the moment and for Russia, because of course we have a great territory, a lot of cities, a lot of people living in the cities, huge cities, millionaires. And we have a lot of remainings, not so pleasant remainings from the old times. And of course, as far as for me, in my personal opinion, it could be great if we could build a kind of cooperation or interaction with Dutch designers, architects, and all these working groups and traveling and sharing of ideas. I think it's very useful and very up-to-date thing. So I hope that such a meeting with Russians, our students and our people, will continue, will grow, enlarge, and it will be not only Yekaterinburg but also other cities like Novosibirsk, Vladivostok, some Norilsk, and other people or other cities that are in need of maybe kind of modernization or changing, sharing, having some new ideas about how to live further. So thanks, and on behalf of the Russian Embassy, I would like to say that, of course, we are looking forward to the upcoming year. It's very important for us. We have a lot of projects, projects in fashion area. Have a contact with some Russian people who is dealing with fashion, so they're very interesting, looking for this year and for the future. And I may say that as the Embassy of the Russian Federation in the Netherlands, we're very happy with it, with all things that happen now, and we're always ready to provide you with assistance, with help. So we'll do our best in order to make all the things easier. So okay. Thanks again, Kees.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Henny, to you, because White Russia is not Russia, but you experienced the Russian culture, I think, and you can maybe translate it into our terms of like how we live here.
Well, thank you, Kees, but I hope this is not an assignment for such a short time that I have now. First of all, if you don't mind, I'd like to express my respect, my admiration for the work that has been done in all these projects, and sitting there and listening and watching the results gives me a lot of inspiration and makes me thinking, you know, how could a city like, for example, Minsk, be introduced or connected to all these activities. So there is still a lot for you to do, I think, in the coming years. It's really very surprising for me, especially about the presentation about Belgrade, with so, between brackets, small actions, huge effects in a city can be realized, and that is very interesting to see. You were challenging me about cultural life in Belarus. Well, I can tell you that cultural life in general over there is pretty different than our cultural life in this city. And I don't know if you allow me to make a kind of political statement. The city of Eindhoven, for those of you who don't know this city very well, has had, for example, a twin city agreement between Eindhoven and Minsk for about 20 years. And the city council is now trying to tell us that the times of twin city agreements are over. I don't know what that means. If it means that they stop granting these activities, then I would say, well, that's a pity, but we can live with that. Because, again, if you see what has been done so far in this setting, it could bring, you know, for both parties at both sides such a lot, and not only solutions as such, but a lot of inspiration using the simple fact that you are living in a different country and have been grown up in a different culture, and trying to bring them closer together makes the world a lot more nicer to live in.
Okay. Well. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. You can sit if you want. I'm very happy that you are here and has this first reaction given. We have two possibilities. We have a fashion show, and that has to be introduced, but we also have another small film about the photographer that you see here in a few posters, but not really presented the best way. That will be tomorrow, because tomorrow is the biennial day, the real biennial day. But maybe 5 minutes? Okay, another 5 minutes as well. But because we like to say more about Dan Marino, he's the photographer of those beautiful pictures of Russian industrial heritage. He will be here on Saturday, but maybe you can tell something about him. Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. I would like to tell some words about Dan Marino. Maurits? Yeah. Dan Marino was born in a small village near Yekaterinburg. He studied in Yekaterinburg, and I think it's about 10 or 15 years ago he realized that he is very interested in industrial buildings and industrial objects, and he started at the time to work as a photographer, and he started traveling across Russia and taking pictures of different industrial buildings and objects. And now today he has a very big collection, very interesting collection of pictures of industrial buildings that are situated all over Russia. And during Brabant Biennale and during Dutch Design Week, we present his works here in Katarina Church. So about some words just about the philosophy. Dan Marino, he thinks that he sees these industrial objects like living biomechanical beings, and they have these backbones like structures, and these beings also have people who are included into the technical processes. They become the part of the system that works, and so he wants to draw attention to the fact that a lot of these industrial objects, they become abandoned, and they die, and people don't care a lot about them. And through his pictures, he wants to show that these buildings are beautiful. They deserve respect and they deserve attention. And we should I forgot the word, I'm sorry. We should take care of them, and we should keep these objects, and we should keep this heritage for the future and for now. So that's what is his main purpose, and I really like his pictures, and I hope that you like them too. I think tomorrow or the day after tomorrow we will finish with this installation, with this exhibition, and everyone can see his beautiful works. Thank you.